Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mansi and here's where we talk about career development. So in today's topic, we're going to talk about product backlog grooming. Let's jump right into it. If you are in a product-based company, you must have heard a lot of times developers, QA, product manager, owners, scrum master talking about something called as backlog grooming. So what do they exactly do in backlog grooming sessions? Today I'm going to deep dive into what backlog grooming is and why it is important if you are working in a product-based agile environment. So first, let's understand what is a backlog. A backlog is a wish list of all the features, tasks, and the priorities that a product manager or an owner want you to develop. Most of the times, this backlog is in a system or in a software such as Jira. It's a very easy system to use wherein all the team members are onboarded on the same project and they can see where each of the tasks are in the entire product development lifecycle. Product backlog is a wish list of all the features that the team needs to develop in the near future and in the upcoming sprints. All the items that go in the product backlog either come from the business owner or different stakeholders such as the users, customers, the QA team. At any point when they find out if there is a bug or there is a new requirement, it will go and sit in the product backlog. This entire product backlog is available to everybody who is in the product development team, such as the developer, designer, QA, and the product owner himself. In different companies, this is driven by different stakeholders. In certain companies, it could be the product manager and the owner who are responsible for creating the backlog and also going ahead and scrubbing it. Whereas in certain companies, there could be a scrum master or a project manager. Let's understand what is backlog grooming session. In a backlog grooming session, all the stakeholders such as the product manager, developer, QA, and the project manager if there is one, they meet together for a duration of 45 minutes to an hour to go through the backlog and divide each of the bigger tasks or epics into smaller tasks. Why this is important is you need to have a clarity of the product roadmap. What are the things that you need to work on as the priority versus what are the items which come in the wish list. Also, during the product backlog session, you will understand what is it that you need to work on as a priority, what is it that will go in a tech debt, and what is it that is coming into the wish list. So a lot of these clarities will come through when the core team members keep meeting and talking about grooming the backlog. The main objectives of a product backlog grooming session are to understand and ideate what are the stories that need to be picked up next. Once that is determined, you need to divide the stories into smaller tasks. The team needs to understand what is the concept of ready. So when we talk about the concept of ready, it can be ready to be shipped to the customer, or it can be ready to be picked up for development, or it can be ready for QA. So the entire team needs to sit down and understand if a particular story, epic, or a feature is in the ready stage or not. And finally, it gives you a vision towards the product and the business strategy, and it validates if you're going in the right direction or not. Sometimes in backlog grooming sessions, the team, which is the development and the QA team, comes up with the estimated efforts and the time that it will require to create these new features or epics. So this session can be also used as a clarity session, and it can be used as a session to come up with the estimates so that you can later on calculate the velocity of the sprint. The backlog grooming session, like I mentioned earlier, is usually run by a product manager or a product owner. Most of the times this happens when you are in a services-based organization. But if you are in a product-based organization, you might actually have somebody called as a scrum master or a project manager who is responsible for running these meetings. He or she is the one who will call in everybody into the same room and make sure that everybody is on the same page. Let's understand what is the responsibility of a scrum master or a project manager in the backlog grooming session. To run the backlog grooming sessions, we already know that we need a moderator. Whoever that moderator is needs to do the following things. The first thing is they need to go ahead and schedule these meetings at an interim basis. So it can't be that you're meeting once in a month or just on the go to discuss a few items. It has to be at regular intervals so that the team can sit, ideate and process the information that is going on. A lot of times the features are so big that you might actually need a POC, which is a proof of concept, to go ahead and then sit into the development stage. The person who is responsible for managing the entire backlog grooming session, he will sit and schedule it at an interval which is feasible for the entire team. The next thing that they do is make sure that the meeting does not over exceed the time of 45 minutes to an hour. Another thing that the moderator or the project manager or the scrum master does is make sure that everybody is on the same page, all the doubts are clarified, and whichever stories people are discussing are in the ready stage for development. So let's look at some of the implications of not doing a backlog grooming. If you're not doing backlog grooming at a regular basis, the team will not have a clarity on what is it that they need to start working on in the next sprint. Most of the teams or companies who work in the agile environment, they have a sprint of 2 or 3 weeks. So your team members need to be ready with what is it that they need to start working on. So while they're actually developing a certain feature or a story, they should not have basic questions for the product owner or manager. This leads to a lot of waste of time, and the stories ultimately get spilled from one sprint to another, and you will not meet your release timelines. Some of the organizations suggest that you should be running these backlog grooming sessions every day, and they form 10% of your overall day. So certain companies prefer to do it for 15-20 minutes or half an hour in the day, every day at a regular time, just as you do a DSU. And certain organizations like to do it once in the week or twice in the week, and they want to segment certain stories and come out with milestone based solutions, which means in each session they have 5 or 6 stories to go ahead and scrub. One of the key things that we need to remember is that a lot of times when we are in these conversations, we lose track of what we're actually discussing, and then it goes on another tangent, which is why you need a moderator who is somebody who is deeply involved into what you're developing and knows the products also in and out, so that he can keep bringing the team members back on track if at all there is a deviation. Backlog grooming is not a ceremony in Scrum or in the Agile methodology. However, it is a ritual that you need to follow on a regular basis. So if your company is agile and if you're not following backlog grooming sessions, then there is a big red flag that you need to be aware of right away. I hope this video gave you clarity on what is a backlog and why you need to sit and groom it with your core team members. If you all have any questions, do put it in the comment section and give it a big fat like so that I'm always motivated to give you all awesome information like this.